Well, welcome back to Lucore Automotive Services. Today we're working on a unique, to say the least, 1948 Chevrolet pickup truck. This one is a beautiful specimen, very nicely done. It's got looks to have a tri-coat pearl white and a burnt orange, also probably a tri-coat. Very unique ride on a 88 to 98 Chevrolet C1500 chassis. With air ride and a big block. Alright, so it's here for us to do an alignment. Since this vehicle was built, it's never had a proper alignment. He said it's wearing tires and it pulls to the right, which, looking at the specs, I'm not surprised. With the steering wheel straight, the tires are obviously off, but they're towed in 3/4 of a degree, so they're towed in pretty hard, pretty aggressively. The caster's off by 3 degrees. And the camera's actually off by 2 degrees, so hopefully this car has already had the knockouts done, because doing the knockouts in this car is going to be time consuming. Because there's no access to the parts. That's one important part of when you're building these things, to make sure that you have the parts you need to access to make adjustments, have them accessible. But beautiful truck. This thing's a multiple show award winner, I'm sure. Let's see what we can do with it. Definitely need to move the eccentrics. If the eccentric knockouts have never been removed, this is going to be a rough one. But let's see what we have to work with. So we are at the top of our travel. That's a problem. Little trans leak, which he mentioned. Oh, he started with a really nice frame. Boxed her in, 4-link. We are at the height of our ride height, which means this thing probably doesn't ride real great, but this is a show and go car. So let's see what we can do with it. Unfortunately, there's really, that's one of the adjustment points there. Can't get to it. I might be able to get to those through the wheel well. The biggest concern is that it's maxed out on its ride height, which is gonna just make it ride rough. But it's a nice build for sure. Love this thing. Let's see what we can do with this. Positive with camber. Need to go positive with caster. This thing has to drive like a shopping cart with negative caster. Although I can't trust that because I might have moved the wheel. So I squared up the toe. Let's recomp it and see what our actual measurements are before I start changing my tail. I really hope this thing's already had the knockouts pulled out of it. I don't really want to pull the upper control arms loose on this. but it is what it is. This apparently has an SSR prototype bed on it, which is super cool. So yeah, we have negative caster on both sides. We really want positive caster on both sides, but with how high this thing's riding, I'm not sure what we're going to be able to overcome. We need to bring the upper ball joints back. So the rear position would need to go in on the upper control arm, and we're already contacting the frame. This one's going to be difficult. We have negative camber on both sides. So both forward positions need to go all the way out, which will increase caster. So let's start with those adjustments, if we can adjust them. So ride height on air ride's critical. This one doesn't have your ride height sensors, which are an important thing to have on air ride, because whatever ride you're setting at changes your toe. This one, I just lowered it a little bit, and you can see a drastic change in the numbers. My camber's actually acceptable for what we're trying to do. That would actually be acceptable if they were even. That's the range I'd be shooting for, 0 to -1. But my caster's completely changed because of how high that thing was riding at. So at this ride height, if we can match this caster to that and make those meet in the middle at -0.5 degree, and then reset our toe, I think we'd be great. I'm going to go ahead and adjust our toe, see where we end up, and then see if we've got a full range of motion side to side on tire sweep, because the concern is hitting the tires probably in the front, and it's probably going to hit the tires where it's at now. But that ride height's slick. That's where I would want it to ride, and we would actually have some up travel in our suspension now, because, and that pinstriping is nice. So I modified the ride height so we have some up travel, make it not ride like a pogo stick. Drop it down a little bit. As far as running down the road, it's going to look pretty sick. And it's still got tons of ground clearance underneath, so I'm not worried about that. The biggest obstacle is going to be tire rub in the fender wells, which may just have to be a byproduct for ride quality. We can always change the offset or the tire diameter or the wheel diameter, bring it down. So this is an 18-inch rim. We could go down to a 17-inch rim, reduce the tire size, and achieve a better ride quality and regain our turning radius by modifying our front wheel. Our rear wheels are, what are these, 20s? I don't even know. I don't even see the numbers. They're probably tucked up in there somewhere. Probably 20s. Got pretty good clearance. It's a little tight in here, but that's the lip. The lip could actually be shaved a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. Got a little bit more room on this side, so we could make a panhard bar adjustment. And it's pretty much where it needs to be in the back side. And our rear adjustment, as far as the bars are concerned, so the back end needs to be squared up if I can. I'm not sure I have adjustability there, so let's take a look at that, and then we're going to pull the front wheels and try to make adjustments to caster and camber. So we have single adjustable joints, so you have to drop the arm, make a turn, Pinion angle's probably fine. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. So we are back end's offset, negative, positive. So I need to shorten that side. I need to lengthen that side. Let's see if we're square to begin with. So this side's longer, and it's within a 1/4 inch. So I'm glad I'm checking these because I found these guys weren't even tight. That one's snug-ish. Which one is it? So we'll lock all those guys down. When these jam nuts aren't tight, it will wear the threads out of the tube, and then the tube lets go, and then the axle destroys everything that it runs into. So, check pinion angle since I'm going to have this apart. All 4 of my lengths are the same length currently. I need to lengthen my lowers to get a little better pinion angle. I need to lengthen this side, shorten this side. So I'm going to lengthen this side by a full turn and shorten that side by a full turn. We'll see where we end up. That's not turning. Let's find a vise. Have enough derriere to do that. Whew. Front, the rear will keep it, the other side will keep it pitched. Maybe. Or I'm about to make a big mistake. There's the way for that one. Getting close. We're under a 1/10 of a degree of thrust angle now. That's a good place to be. Drift angle, -1.1. I think that's as far as I'm going to take that. It's a pretty big improvement over what it was. Lock it down. I did make an adjustment to my pinion angle to make it even with the engine and transmission driveline angle. My drive shaft's right at about 3 degrees. My engine and trans are just under a degree. Puts me just over 2.3 degrees driveline angle. We'll take it. It's more than 0 and it's not different, so I'll take even at each end for this. My ride height, I think, is where I want to keep it. Let's pull the front wheels, make some adjustments, pull out knockouts, and keep moving forward. This one's gonna be a fight for sure. I have to remember to lock down my bolts in the back, but I'll do that after I resweep it because I may still need to make some adjustments back here. Let's turn that guy off. And move up front. Complicates things. I need to support the lower control arm to do the upper control arm removal, but I can't pull the wheels off when I support it by the lower control arms, so that makes it more difficult, which adds time to the job. So this is part of why we record these things, so that the customer can understand what goes into fixing their car, and then when they get the bill, they can say, oh, yeah, well, it takes a lot more work to work on a custom car than it does to work on a everyday driver. Things like this aren't a problem. So let me set it down, lift it up by the frame, so the extension, so the suspension bend. Then we should be able to pull the wheel off. And then we'll have to jack the lower control arm as well to do the upper control arm service. This vehicle's body dropped pretty radically. You can see this is the top of the inner fender. This is the top of the fender itself. So the top of the frame's up in here. Actually higher than that, it's up in here. So I gotta pull these two upper control arm bolts out. See if they'll move. Shock tower's in my way. Custom cars are tons of fun. I'm gonna make my adjustment up front. Luckily that one moved. Well, that was a substantial improvement over what we had before, but there's still more work to be done. So I brought my caster up quite a bit. If I could get that caster to here, I'd be okay with it, but I still need to bring my camber up or bring this camber down, which if I take this caster higher, that's probably going to go negative, so I'm going to try and move that caster adjustment. I need my light. Cyclops. These things are great.
Well, you can see at this ride height I actually have some travel. I'm probably close to the natural ride height of what this truck was designed to have. It needs a sway bar. It's missing a sway bar up front. That'll make it handle better once we get that in there. I'll talk to him about that.
I gotta do the other side.
So these have knockouts in these sections. These are out of it now, but the bolt wouldn't rotate all the way over into its side. So I had to make adjustments. Seems to be better now.
Put this back together and we'll get back at it. This one's being rough. Alright, so my front control arm eccentric is all the way positive for more positive camber. My rear eccentric is all the way in for more positive caster. The problem is I wanted more positive camber on this side, but my camber adjustment bolt up here is all the way out, and the caster adjustment bolt here is all the way out. So the only way to increase caster is to move the rear position inboard, but that's also going to take my camber negative. So, and my caster was already high on this side, so I got to figure out what my best option is here for some additional camber. But our camber, I gained caster on the other side. If I gain more caster here, I don't know, I think I'm just going to put the wheels back on it, recheck it, resweep caster and see where we're at, because we might be close enough to let this go. And there's really not a lot of good options for adjustment up here, because my cam bolts, you can actually see the positions in their pockets that they're pushed all the way out. So let's put the front wheels back on. We'll comp it, sweep it, set the toe, and see where we're at, and then we will try again, because that's how it works on a truck like this. Caster is probably a little bit more than indicated, because it looks like the frame has a little bit of rake to it, and I have 0 in for the frame angle, but positive caster is a good thing. Caster, you wash your hands. This has a very nice cream leather interior, so I have to make sure I don't get my grubby digits all over it. Alright, so making headway. My adjustments, increasing my caster on the driver's side, took my positive camber to negative, which allows me to go more negative on my camber on the passenger side, so I can increase my caster on the passenger side as well. What you got, Dave? Pull this off one more time. I will admit they have good lug nut stud contact on this car. Very good with that. This is way more than just an alignment. Unload the upper control arm. So I figured out on the other side, the shock's in the way of the upper control arm coming out. But over here we have a header tube right in the way because our adjustment bolt's right there. So I'm going to try to use an eccentric or a swivel socket to get a ratchet on here. I want to go in on the back adjuster about halfway, which will bring my camber in more negative to match it up with the driver's side, and it'll bring my caster more positive. And yes, positive caster, ball joints backwards towards the rear of the car. I didn't realize this at first, but this is actually a 3-door. It's got a 3-door cab. This is a 1 of 5 fiberglass body built by a fella. He got 5 of them. This was number 5. This truck sat for 17 years in a fella's garage when this guy found it. This guy finished off the project about 3 years ago, if I remember correctly. So, pretty cool truck. I definitely like the colors. The color combinations are very cool. I really like burnt orange. It reminds me of KTM orange, which is something I have on my jet ski, as a matter of fact. So, in black, KTM orange and black looks good together. I like it. And then this cream pearl is pretty amazing too. Super cool truck. So my ride height's where it needs to be. Hopefully this is the last time I need to comp this car. I think I've got it where it needs to be. We should be within a couple tenths, hopefully. Kind of a horseshoes and hand grenades setup with this because I have to pull the wheel every time to make adjustments. But I like where it's sitting for driving. If the wheels rub on turns, which is probably gonna, when you're making tight parking lot turns, you increase the air pressure, lift the front up so that you have better turning radius, and then you drop it back down when you're running around. It's kind of a hassle, but that's part of the cost of having a custom car that looks as good as it does when it's running down the road. There's things that are inconveniences that are created by appearances. So pretty sick looking truck though. I'm digging it. That's a winner. All I gotta do is set my toe. I put in my frame angle of 1.2 degrees, which made my adjustment, made a big difference in what the actual caster reading is. -9, -1, we got excellent negative camber within 1/10 of a degree. Our caster's within 2/10. I'll square up our toe. Thing ought to handle a lot better. Log it down. Take it for a test drive. Frenched headlights. Chopped top. Crew cab. 3-door. SSR bed. Channeled on the frame a lot. Custom interior. It's actually a really nice interior. Pinstriping on the insides of the bottoms of the doors. Pinstriping in the jams. Body lines, paint lines going through the jams and around the corners. Marine fuel fill. Flush lights. Custom bed panel. Oof. Hello. That one was a battle, but I beat it. Let's go for a drive. It's the best part of my day. Actually, my next test drive is going to be amazing. Do you see that Corvette out there?
Yeah, I seen it earlier.
It's an aluminum big block.
I heard him say that the product number, and I was like, oh, that's
Yeah, that's
almost special order.
That's yeah.
Oh.
PSI and 30 PSI is what I have going on for my air pressures in the front and rear on this for driving. It can be aired out and laid down. And actually I still appear to have full turning radius at this ride height, so that worked out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Let me turn that fan off, that thing's loud. God, that thing's good. Well, that's it for this one. Air ride, 88 to 98 C1500 chassis, big block Chevrolet, Turbo 400. Foose wheels, they look really good on this car. I was worried we were going to have to go to a small wheel and tire up front, but I think he's going to be okay. And worst case scenario, if he does find that he's revving the tires, he can always air it up when he's doing tight turning maneuvers and then air it back down to that 70-30 setting that I have it set at. If he runs it anywhere else than that, all bets are off on tire wear. But where I have it set right now, within a couple of PSI should be pretty good wear, pretty good handling. Negative degree camber, 3.5 degrees caster. It drives wonderfully. It was riding like a pogo stick before because you were at the top of a spring and you just come up and you hit the stop and you're just riding on the stops. So, really happy with it. This one fought me. This one was rough. It's rough when you got to take the car apart and put it back together every time to make an adjustment. But that's custom cars, and I have to remind myself that it's a custom car. It's gonna be difficult. You have to accept that. At any rate, thank you for watching. Click like, subscribe, leave us a comment below. Have a great day. I got a really bitchin' Corvette going on the ride next. Super nice fellow, been real patient with me this morning since I've been fighting with it. And let's get on to it, because it's got to get done too before I go. I got to get up to the lake and mow my parents' place today. It's a busy day. You guys have a safe one out there. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.